I've been using ThinkorSwim for over 8 years. Here is my current list of saved personal scan queries, and these are just the ones I thought were good enough to save. I've really built hundreds more. By the end of this video, you will know every single thing that I know about building scanners within ThinkorSwim. We are, of course, under the Scan tab and the Stock Hacker subtab. Now, the Stock Hacker and the Option Hacker subtabs are the same thing. The only difference is that the default settings that exist within the Option Hacker are more built around filtering for options. It's already set to only scan stocks in the S&P 500, and it already has a few option filters by default. But you can add all of the same types of filters within the Option Hacker that you can within the Stock Hacker. So it doesn't really matter which one you're under, and everything that I cover in today's video can be run from either one of these subtabs. Next, let's hop down to this next subline and talk about scan in, intersect with, and exclude. Scan in is your universe of stocks that you are scanning with the scanner that you build here. You can set it to all stocks. You can set it to only over-the-counter stocks, only New York Stock Exchange, only NASDAQ, or you can set it to your already existing and saved scanners. Next, intersect with. This is your whatever you set in here, the conditions that are within it must be true, along with the conditions that you set in the new scanner that you're building must also be true. So this is how you combine conditions for certain types of stocks you would like to see. And then, of course, obviously, exclude is, hey, I don't want to be returned these stocks. I always exclude over-the-counter stocks. I'm just not an OTC trader. I always have that setting turned on my scans. Next, let's jump over to the right side of our screen and talk condition groups. By default, all of the following condition group is turned on, meaning any stock filters that you add into this condition group must all be true in order for the stocks to be returned within your scan query. Next, if I turn on any of the following, if I have on multiple different filters in here, as long as one of them is true, then those stocks will be returned within the scan query. And finally, we have none of the following. Of course, if we have multiple conditions in here, if any of them are true, those stocks will not be returned within the scan query. Think of this as your conditional formatting. If you want to see stocks that have 100,000 shares of volume and a 10 million share market cap, you put those two filters in all of the following. This is your and. If you don't want to see those stocks, if you want to see every stock but stocks that have a minimum of 100 shares of volume and a 10 million share market cap, you put those in none. This is your not conditional formatting. And then if you want to see any stocks that have either 100,000 shares of volume or a $10 million market cap, that goes in your any. This is your or conditional formatting. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes and begin to talk about the different types of stock filters that you can select from within ThinkorSwim. The first filter being stock. This is going to give you a drop down of stock information that you can choose from. We use the example of having a minimum volume of 100,000. I would turn on a stock filter. I would go down to volume in the drop down, and I would set my minimum volume to 100,000. This also gives you this little bar here in which you can see where the most stocks are. These sort of histogram up and down bars represent the number of available stocks according to what you are scanning against on your filter. So at 100,000 minimum shares, we are excluding a lot of stocks, as you can see. This is also movable and draggable. So you can drag this around. It becomes much more specific on the numbers. But if you would rather, hey, I want to see more stocks, I can drag the whole bar here, set the minimum, set the maximum according to seeing the largest amount of stocks, once again, in the scan in filter that we are running this scan against. In our previous example, we talked about wanting a minimum of 100,000 shares in volume and a minimum of a $10 million market cap. So let's add another stock filter, and one of the stock filter drop downs is market cap in millions of dollars. So if we want a minimum of 10, we simply type that in and hit enter. Let's say we also want a maximum of 100. We don't want to be returned very large stocks either. So that's how you can set both your min and your max. And remember, since we are putting this in all of the following as our condition group, they must both be true in order for the ticker to be on our scan query results. The next type of filter that we can utilize to scan for stocks within ThinkorSwim is option. Remember how at the top of this thing, I said the stock hacker and the option hacker were one and the same? This is what I meant. We're still under the stock hacker subtab, but I can still utilize option filters to filter my scan query results. It's going to give you a drop down just like the stock filter, except of course, your drop down selections are going to be option specific. If I turn on an option for the days to expire, I want to be returned stocks that have a minimum 7 days until expiration, and let's call it a maximum of 100 days until expiration. Another also really nice option filter that's easy to play around with and can be useful for filtering stocks, even if you're not too worried about the options themselves, is this implied volatility. You can start to look for stocks that have a minimum implied volatility. Hey, I want to see volatile stocks that have at least 100 on their implied volatility. And do you see what I just did there? As I was typing in numbers, I'm looking at this histogram and I'm going, 10 is still including way too many stocks. We need to up that number. That's where this histogram becomes useful. Hey, I want to filter this thing down more. I really want to be seeing just kind of the top end of the most volatile stocks, right? So that is a real time example there of how I was making use of this histogram chart. The next filter type that you can use to filter through scan results within ThinkorSwim is fundamental. This is the tab that Warren Buffett would jump directly to. This is how you begin to sort your stocks by fundamental numbers. Hey, I only want to see stocks in my return that have a minimum revenue of $100,000. There's also obviously just a ton of other drop downs in here: tax rate, sales per share, EBITDA, dividend payout, all kinds of different fundamental drop downs you can utilize from the fundamental stock filter. The fourth filter type, and this is where it starts to get real fun, is study. This is where you can start to filter scan results by indicators. Hey, I only want to see stocks where the 9 SMA is above the 20 SMA. Hey, I only want to see stocks where the RSI is below 30. Hey, I only want to see stocks where the MACD is less than -1. All those kind of things you come into the study filter to do. This gives you like a large drop down of different kind of default studies that you can utilize, and you can mess with all this stuff. But what I always do with a study filter is I drop down here to custom, which is going to open this scanner custom filter modal. You can go ahead and delete what is already just existing in there. Then you can add a condition, and from here, you could build whatever your heart desires. Hey, I only want to see stocks where the current bar is closing above the 200 simple moving average. This is you'll see, but this is your first condition. This will be your operator. This will be your second condition. So I want close greater than 200 simple moving average. That's what I want from this modal. So when I'm looking for close, of course, I'm going to go to price. I'm going to utilize the price function. Then here's your list of operators. I want the price to be greater than, and in this drop down, a simple moving average is, of course, a study. I'm going to click on study, look up simple moving average, change the length of my simple moving average parameter to 200. If I save this now, and if I also hit OK, stocks will only be returned if, remember, since we're in all of the following here, we're building kind of a crazy scanner, just going through all the options here. But if the rest of these things are true that we've already set up, and if the close is greater than the 200 length simple moving average, these stocks will be returned in this scan query. And we're going to come back to this study filter and mess around a lot more with custom studies later in this video. Just let me finish sort of the walkthrough of this screen. Stick around because later we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to teach you guys a lot of different ways you can make use of this study filter. And the final filter type that you can utilize to filter through your scan results is pattern. This is going to give you a pre-selected list of pattern types that can be happening on the chart that you want to see returned. Hey, I only want to see stocks that are in an up triangle and an ascending triangle. If you want me to be 100% honest with you, I never use this. So I don't know exactly how ThinkorSwim is figuring out these patterns, how well it works, like if the patterns are actually true when running it. I very much would rather make use of the customization we can do within the study filter rather than try to use kind of pre-selected patterns. But hey, if you want to look at this, take a stab at this, maybe some of this looks interesting to you, feel free, hop in, add some patterns to your scanner. We've gotten through all of the different options available to you for creating a stock scanner within ThinkorSwim. Now, let's hop down to the results real quick. You obviously have a different list of header columns than I will have, as I have customized mine and even built some of my own custom columns. But of course, as with just about anything, you can filter these columns, sort by these columns by clicking on the column name itself and choosing either ascending or descending. I typically sort my scan results descending top down by volume. I want to see the stocks trading the most volume in my scan results. You can also click on this very little cog right here and then click on customize, and this will open up your options for your headers. You have a huge list of options that you can choose from to add to your scan results. And obviously, once you have them turned on, say I want to turn on whatever this DEMA means. I don't even know what that means, but I just double clicked it and it added it to my current set. If I go ahead and hit OK, you will see it loading over here on the far right as it is at the bottom of this list. If I wanted it to be right after last instead, it's simply a drag and drop. Now you will see it loading over here. And of course, if I no longer want it, I want to remove it. Simply, once again, double click on it from your current set. Now it will be gone. So we kind of just created a monstrosity of a scan query while going through all of the possible filter types. Let's go ahead now and do a real life example to sort of put together everything we have learned. So I want to see stocks that have a minimum of 50,000 shares in volume and a minimum market cap of 5 million. I also don't want to see stocks that are currently trading above their 200 SMA. I want to be looking to buy these stocks on a dip. Then I want to be seeing stocks that either pay a 2% minimum dividend or a $1 per share minimum dividend. Let's go ahead and work on setting that up. So I said, remember, 50,000 shares of volume. See if I remember my own story. 50,000 shares of volume and 10 million or 5 million share market cap. That's an and condition. It needs to go under the all of the following condition group. So let's go ahead and make a volume with a minimum of 5123. And then let's go ahead and add a stock filter under this group with market cap with a minimum of 5. Then I said I do not want to see stocks that are trading above the 200 simple moving average. Now, of course, I could simply build in a study filter here to return stocks that are below the 200 simple moving average. I get that. But for example's sake, please let me do this. I'm going to add a none of the following condition group. We're going to go to study, custom. We're going to just edit this. And I want to see if the current price close is greater than the 200 simple moving average. Remember, I do not want to see these stocks. I do not want to see stocks that are currently trading above their 200 simple moving average, which is why I put it in the none of the following condition group. Then I had a couple of option conditions that I wanted to see if either were true. I believe it was dividend yield is either 2%. If I can find dividend yield. These aren't options. These are fundamentals, not options. I haven't talked about this yet either, but this little X over here is how you get rid of a filter. Say you do what I just did, turned on the wrong filter type. That's how you get rid of it. See, I did that on purpose for an example. See, either the dividend yield is minimum 2%, or if I add another fundamental, the dividend payout is a minimum of $1. If I go ahead now and hit scan, let's see what types of stocks are returned. Oh, and also remember, I would like to sort my scanner, to filter my scanner top down by volume. I want to see the stocks meeting these conditions that are trading the most volume. Intel, IQ, and PDD. If I go ahead and hop over, look at Intel. Let me remove something else I was working on. This stock apparently, is obviously below the 200 simple moving average. Let's just turn that on for confirmation's sake. But below the 200 simple moving average, trading definitely over 50,000 shares of volume. You all know it's Intel, so it has a huge market cap, and they must have some sort of dividend payout as well. Actually, if I look it up here, we can see, look at that. Intel has a 2.09% dividend yield. Great. It looks like the scanner is working as expected. I've built my scanner. I have tested it is working properly. I like it. I like the types of stocks it's returning. I want to save this scan query. I'm going to click on this middle hamburger drop down here. Click, of course, on save. And then we have to give it a name. I'm going to call mine Dipping Dividends. I actually kind of like that. Sorry, that's funny. Dipping Dividends. If I go ahead and save this scan query now, whenever I have a different query loaded in, say I'm looking at my momentum query, if I'm looking at this and I want to instead look at my dipping dividends, I once again click on this middle hamburger icon over load. If you haven't made a lot of queries yet, yours will just say personal and will be sorted by alphabetical order. I have created so many that it has sort of bucketed mine into different alphabetical orders. So I'm looking at the, O0 through D here, looking at my dipping dividends. And of course, it will reload in the scanner we just created. Now, back on our charts, let me show you a couple of real special things that make ThinkorSwim extremely powerful. I'm going to open up my left-hand drawer here by clicking on this little arrow. I already have watch list widget added over here. If you do not, you'll have to hit this little plus button and add a watch list widget. But from here, if I click on the name of the watch list itself, of course, I want to load in my dipping dividends. I can now see the results of my scanner directly while I'm looking at a chart here on the left-hand side. You, of course, can also click on the cog and customize the column headers here as well and sort by the column headers here as well. Now, let me show you another very powerful ThinkorSwim secret. You see how I have this little 3 blue symbol link here? If I go ahead and change my chart to also 3 blue, now I can just click on tickers appearing within this scanner and they will auto-populate onto my chart. This makes the analysis from scanning to charting very seamless and very simple. Now check this out. If I once again left click on the name of my watch list, I can scroll down here where it says alert when scan results change. I can now be alerted whenever a symbol gets added to my dipping dividends scanner. You, of course, can change this to also if one is removed or if any is added or removed. For this example, let's go ahead and just do if any symbol gets added to the scanner, I will be alerted. Of course, I just created the scanner today, so there is every stock on the scanner as the alert, but hopping into my Market Watch tab here and the Alerts sub-tab, you will see I now have this alert that is still currently active that will return true whenever a stock, what just happened? Whenever a stock is added to my dipping dividends scanner, I will be alerted. And if you right click on this and go to alert notifications, you may have to activate them if they're not already. You can have it play a sound. You can have it send push notifications to your mobile device. You can have it email you, depending on how you would like to be notified. All of those settings are available as well. Now let's have some fun. Do you all want to have some fun? I want to have some fun. Let's go ahead and start really diving into the customization available under the study stock filter. First off, I'll show you how you can remove these condition groups. And of course, I already showed you how you can remove individual stock filters. But let's go ahead and add a new study filter. Remember, on the drop down, we're going to click into custom. I'm going to go ahead and build one where if I go to study and I look up simple moving average, if the 9 length simple moving average is crossing above I want to do the 20 length simple moving average. So once again, study, look up simple moving average, change the length parameter to 20. Now I'll be returned stocks where the 9 SMA crossed above the 20 SMA today. And it's happening today because this aggregation up here is set to D. This, of course, can also be changed to run against any time frame. For right now, we're going to leave it on the D, pause, but we'll come in and we'll mess around with this in just a second as well, just so you can see how that works. So if I run this scanner, we should now be returned stocks where the 9 crossed the 20 today. And I don't have any stock filters turned on to get rid of some of this nastiness. So you got some nastiness at the top, but our first real stock is TME. Let's go ahead and look at TME and let's go ahead and add another simple moving average. That's your 9. Let's make this our 20 and change the color of it. So our 9 will be cyan. Today you're getting, you can't see. Today you're getting the 9 SMA crossing above the 20 SMA. Next stock down is BAC, Bank of America. Cool. Are you getting it? Yep. Right now, you're getting the 9 SMA crossing above the 20 SMA. Cool. Let's filter this down even a little bit more. Let's add another study filter. Once again, going to go down to custom. I'm going to go to edit. I want to see this time that the RSI value is also less than 50. So I'm going to turn on study as RSI is an indicator or a study, as ThinkorSwim calls them. I want the RSI to be less than. It doesn't have to be crossing below because that means it's currently happening. That means it just happened. Crosses above and crosses below means, whereas obviously greater than or less than just means the value is less than. So we're going to do a value here. We just want a straight value of 50. RSI is less than 50. Remember, save and OK. And since we have this under the all of the following condition group, they both must be true in order to be returned. Bank of America is still on the list. If we go ahead and turn on the RS, by the way, do you all see the dipping dividends alerts popping up in the top left? There's that alert we set up working. If we go ahead and turn on our RSI study, we should see a value less than 50. We do. We see 47. It's working as intended. Now that I've gone through even just those couple of examples with you, you should be able to theoretically create literally anything you want. Your full list of available studies is available in this dropdown. So anything that you can turn onto your chart, you can select from the study here. And then now you understand the basics, at least, of how to use your operator and either your value or compare it to a different study or a price. You should be able to set up anything you want. Now, let's go ahead and show you this time aggregation. Let's move both of them down to the 5-minute. I want to see if the RSI is less than 50 on the 5-minute and if the simple moving average of 9 crosses above the simple moving average of 20 on the 5-minute. By the way, did you see you can change the aggregation directly from here, and you can click on this little pencil to open up the edit of your study codes here, just a little extra. If I go ahead and now run this scanner, let's go ahead and see the results. The first stock is B. There's another alert for dipping dividends. Go on. The first stock is BTG. We might have to hurry up and go look at that as it's on the 5-minute, so it'll be ever changing. Right now, this stock does have the 9 SMA crossing above the 20, yes, and the RSI is now at 51. I'm sure when the scan ran, it was below 50, probably during a little bit more of this dip. Next is DUK. These are not beautiful looking stocks, but just to show the scan is working. RSI less than 50, 9 just about crossing the 20, so I'm sure it was fluctuating when the scan went off. A very important thing to note, and this is probably a good time to talk about this, ThinkorSwim doesn't add or remove stocks instantaneously. It runs its scan results roughly every 3 to 5 minutes. But you all want to have some more fun and learn a workaround to that? So ThinkorSwim scan results aren't live updating, but these custom columns are live updating. They're at least within 5 to 10 seconds of what the value of the ticker is actually doing. I don't know why that is. I'm not a ThinkorSwim backend developer, but for some reason, the columns update much more real time than the scan results themselves. So if we really wanted to see real time when the RSI is less than 50 on a stock, say, we can come into our cog on the header, go to customize. Now, what you would do is you would look up a custom column. There's going to be something like custom 0 through 19 or something like that. I'm insane and I've already used all of mine, so I'm going to have to click on one that I've already created here and overwrite it, but that's fine. What you're going to do, you're going to click on this little cog here, or sorry, this little scroll here. Do you see how that scroll doesn't have a lock on it and all these do? These scrolls with locks on them mean they come directly from ThinkorSwim and are not editable. You can still click on them and see the code, but you can't make any changes. Whereas in your custom ones, in your custom scrolls that don't have the lock on it, if you click on it, this will open and you can make changes. So we're in our condition wizard again. Let's go ahead and change it. We want to see true when the RSI is less than 50. So once again, let's look up the RSI value. There's another dipping dividends alert. Let's go to is less than, and then let's go to the value of 50. If I'm correct in this, this should show true when that is true. It should show false when it is not. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. It's doing it with 1s and 0s instead. But yes, well, right now all of these are 1 because we're running this scan. Let's actually remove that filter from the scan and let's see what this column looks like. Because of course, right now they're all true because that's one of our scan filters, right? Very cool. So now if there's a 1, the RSI is less than 50. If there's a 0, the RSI is not less than 50. And did we run that? I believe we ran that on the what time frame do we run that against? Let me double check actually. Currently we are running that against the 1 minute. So let's see how fast these updates. Let's see if we can catch one changing from 1 to 0. So right now right now ELF is less than 50 on the RSI. So it is giving us a 1 or true. I'm trying to really closely peek here and see if I can see any currently changing from a 1 to a 0. This might be really hard to do in real time. You know what? I'm being silly. To showcase the real-time updating, instead of having this true to false, if it is above or below 50 on the RSI, let's literally just return the RSI value. So what I'm actually going to do here, I'm going to come into the ThinkScript editor, the coding part of ThinkorSwim. This is a whole nother realm if you're interested in learning how to ThinkScript so you can code your own custom conditions. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's what we do around here. But I'm going to just return the RSI value on the 1 minute. This should be a much easier way to show you that it is live updating. So the number one stock on this right now just dropped from 31 to 30 CIFR. If I go to that, we should see 30.6, 30.8. Yep. If I come back and look at the scan, 30.5, 31.5, did it just bounce? Yep, it's at 31.7. Let's just do it one more time, 31.5. See if it gives us another decent move here. Once again, you should be noticing about a 5 to 10 second delay between the move on the stock and the move on the scanner column. 30.67, yep, 30.7 on the stock. So can you see how the scanner column is so much more live updating than the 3 to 5 minutes it takes for a ticker to either appear or disappear from the scanner results? There's a lot of different ways you can take advantage of that within ThinkorSwim scanners. If you are interested in accessing any of my personal scanners, I have published them all on my website, daytradingstrategies.net, where if you navigate into the strategies and then into the ThinkorSwim link here, you can access all of my scanners, my strategies, my studies, my workspaces, etc. If we go ahead and click in, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But there's a link to the website in the description down below. You can go sign up and get access to all of these things for one low price. I don't charge per code or anything crazy like that. And I promise you the price is cheaper than you think it is. But you get access to all those day trading scanners, all of those swing trading scanners. Once again, the strategies, the indicators, etc. And I am always adding and updating codes on the website as well. Daytradingstrategies.net. Click the link in the description down below. Go sign up and become a better trader today. In this video, you learned how to run your scan against different subsets of data, all the different types of condition groups, all the different types of stock filters, how to filter and sort your scan results, how to link your scan watch list to the chart, how to set up alerts on your scan watch list, and multiple different custom conditions to run under the study filter. Please hit the like button if you learned something. It means the world to me. Make sure you're subscribed if you're interested in this sort of content. I'm posting it nearly daily. It's free, and you can change your mind at any time. So why not hit the button? With all that being said, I'll catch you all in the next one.